About 2 weeks ago, a Norwegian tourist named Mads Mikkelsen, who is not to be confused with the Danish actor from the James Bond and Marvel movies, landed in Newark Airport. On arrival, he was detained by immigration agents who demanded access to his cell phone and then denied him entry to the U.S.
For many people outside the United States, traveling there these days feels less like planning a vacation and more like walking straight into a trap.
We're back now with a look at the drop in the number of international tourists who are visiting the United States this year.
So a research note from Tourism Economics, which is part of Oxford Economics, says international arrivals to the U.S. are expected to fall about 9% this year. That drop is fueled by negative perceptions about recent changes to immigration policies here in America.
That excitement about going to America, once so common, is giving way to a kind of quiet dread. And for Canadians in particular, the shift has been dramatic.
Canadians boycotting travel to the U.S. intensified in May, cementing a massive economic loss for American tourism this year as visitors from all over the globe rethink travel to the States. The number of Canadians taking road trips into the U.S., representing the majority of Canadians who visit, dropped by 38% last month.
The quick weekend trip south of the border, that used to be a no-brainer, now comes with a mental checklist of potential risks, customs delays, unpredictable questioning, and stories of outright harassment have a way of killing the fun before it even starts. Staying home suddenly feels like the safer, saner option.
Hey, Leslie, that's right. So the number of travelers checking into hotels did decline over the last week to 54%. Some experts at SD are pointing to seasonality factors and Omicron. Now, the city's posting the highest hotel occupancy over the past week.
You don't even have to look far to see the change. Walk into Montreal's Trudeau Airport at the height of summer, and the difference is written on every gate sign. Lines are shorter, the usual buzz of families heading for U.S. beaches or city breaks is quieter, and the general mood is cautious. It's not just in the air, the data backs it up. In June, hotel occupancy rates across the U.S. were down nearly 15% compared to the same time last year. By July, some cities that were once tourist magnets, places like Las Vegas, were operating at barely 2/3 capacity. And when you dig into the reasons, the pattern becomes clear. A string of bizarre and sometimes outright ridiculous border incidents that sound like they were pulled from a satirical news site. Take the case of Mads Mikkelsen, a 21-year-old from Norway. He arrived in Newark with all his paperwork in perfect order: passport, visa, and return ticket. Nothing unusual, but on his phone was a silly, harmless meme. A digitally edited image of American politician J.D. Vance without hair. That's it, a bald gag. But to U.S. border officials, this wasn't a joke. They branded it extremist propaganda, confiscated his devices, demanded his social media passwords, and warned that refusing could mean up to 5 years in prison. Then came the strip search and a $5,000 fine. What should have been a week of sightseeing turned into an international spectacle. The meme itself went viral, seen by millions, and Norwegian headlines mocked the ordeal with titles like "U.S. border agents declare war on bald politicians." And it's not an isolated incident. Another story making waves online involves Hassan, a popular American Twitch streamer with 3 million followers. Returning through Chicago's O'Hare Airport, he was stopped, questioned for hours, and had his phone combed through. The questions? Not about security or contraband, but about his political opinions, his stance on Trump, and other personal topics. Hassan ended up live streaming parts of the experience, showing in real time just how surreal and invasive the process had become. But perhaps the most absurd story belongs to Ziming Wang, a 23-year-old student filming TikTok content near the Mexico-US border. While he was there, he helped translate for a small group of migrants and guided 3 women to a local shelter. The next thing he knew, he was under arrest, charged with human smuggling. The alleged evidence? Not a van full of people, not falsified documents, but 3 pet hamsters and his girlfriend, who happened to be traveling with him. Even the presiding judge couldn't make sense of it. These cases may sound like rare flukes, but the truth is, they're symptoms of a deeper shift in U.S. border policy, one that gives agents sweeping, unchecked power. Today, even holding a valid visa doesn't mean you'll be allowed in. Border officers can demand to search your phone, scroll through your photos, read your messages, and even dig through your social media history. Decline, and you could be deported on the spot, fined, or banned from re-entry. The process is arbitrary, and the rules feel like they change with the mood of the person in uniform. Foreign governments have started sounding the alarm. Canada, Germany, and the United Kingdom have all updated their travel advisories, warning citizens that entry to the US is never guaranteed. Phones can and will be searched, and travelers should be prepared for aggressive questioning. In other words, come at your own risk. The travel industry has noticed the shift too. Play. Airlines, an Icelandic budget carrier, pulled all of its US routes by October. Several Mexican airlines have quietly canceled key connections to American cities. Germany's Lufthansa has shifted its biggest planes away from North America and into Asian markets. Canadian carriers, Air Canada and WestJet, have cut back their US flights, while Porter Airlines has put its American expansion plans on ice. For the airline industry, it's a clear retreat, and it's driven by passenger hesitation. The ripple effects are enormous. International hotel bookings to the US have plummeted by over 60%. The flow of Canadian tourists to Las Vegas is down more than half. Business travel, the kind that fills conference halls and pays for corporate suites, is down about 40%. US universities are seeing a steep decline in foreign student applications. Conventions and expos that once rotated through cities like Orlando, San Francisco, and Chicago are now choosing Toronto or Vancouver instead. Economists estimate that America is staring at a $50 billion travel trade deficit, a staggering swing of $100 billion from just a year earlier. Zoom into the city level, and the damage becomes even clearer. New York City has lost more than 3 million international visitors, costing its economy around $4 billion. Las Vegas hotels are struggling to keep occupancy rates above 82%, and that's during what should be their busy season. Miami's once thriving international tourism sector has withered. San Francisco's convention business is down almost half, and even Disney World, that global symbol of family fun, is booking 38% fewer overseas visitors. Jobs are disappearing just as quickly as the tourists. Hotels have cut around 50,000 positions nationwide. Restaurants have lost roughly 45,000 workers. Concert halls, theaters, and other entertainment venues have shed another 25,000. Behind every number is a person, a family, whose income has vanished because the border has turned into a stage for power plays. Rather than softening, the government seems to be doubling down. Presidential Proclamation 10949, for example, outright bans travel from 19 countries and places 36 more under heightened monitoring. Student visa applicants must now make their social media accounts public for review. Hundreds have had visas revoked over something as minor as liking the wrong post or sharing a politically charged tweet. Application fees have jumped, and in some countries, interview appointments are booked solid into 2026. Social media has amplified every one of these stories. TikToks, Reddit threads, and Instagram reels mock the US border experience. Influencers tell their millions of followers to go anywhere but America. The hashtag had Visit Canada. Instead, trends on a regular basis, and every viral post adds fuel to a growing international perception that the US is not just a difficult destination, it's a hostile one. Even Mads Mikkelsen, the Norwegian traveler whose meme caused an international stir, has moved on. He's now posting sunny vacation photos from Japan, captioned with little jabs about how smooth their immigration process is. Every picture is a subtle nudge to his followers. Look how easy this is compared to the States. In the end, what's happening isn't just about tourism, it's about reputation. America spent decades building a brand as the land of opportunity, the place where visitors were welcomed, where freedom was the selling point. That image is being replaced rapidly with one of suspicion, surveillance, and unpredictable treatment at the border. People aren't just canceling trips, they're warning their friends, their families, and their entire online audiences to stay away. And the truth is, once a country becomes the punchline in the global travel conversation, it's hard to win back trust. Every meme, every viral clip, and every outrageous headline cements the idea that visiting the US is more trouble than it's worth. So if you're packing your bags for a trip to America anytime soon, you might want to think twice, or at the very least, Maybe clear out your phone's photo album before you board that flight.